Church. John here, and today for our devotional, we're going to continue to look at some of the characteristics of God. And yesterday we looked at one of the characteristics of God by looking at a God is statement. Today we're going to continue to use that format by looking at another characteristic of God. God is my provision. Indeed, we see that there's a name for the Lord for this exact thing, and that name is Jehovah Jireh, which stands for the Lord is my provision. And we saw this week that Jacob had to confront this very thing. Would the Lord provide for him when faced with the dilemma? Do I go through with what the Lord has commanded me to do, going back to my homeland, and in doing so face a brother who is out for my blood? Or do I take my provision into my own hands and hope that I will survive? Ultimately, we see that Jacob's choice to be faithful and follow the Lord and his command leads to reconciliation with Esau, something that the text indicates would have been impossible without God, right? But before he even gets to the moment, if he knows that the Lord will provide for him, what Jacob does is he does a very unique thing. He practices thanksgiving. He doesn't even know yet if the Lord will provide. This is why he's so anxious and even goes into the desert to be alone. But before all of that, like we said on Sunday, Jacob takes time to thank the Lord. He says, O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who said to me, return to your country and to your kindred, that I might do you good. I am not worthy of the least of all the deeds of steadfast love and all the faithfulness that you have shown to your servant. For with only my staff I crossed this Jordan. But now I have two camps. Jacob, in the moment of knowing, like, okay, Lord, I don't know if you're going to provide for me, but what I do know I am thankful for because you have provided for me up to now. Jacob, based off of the provision of the Lord, makes a decision to continue to trust him. Even when the biggest decision of his life yet, right? Because it's at the very potential of the cost of his life, means risking his life to be faithful unto the Lord. Ultimately, at the end of the story, Jacob builds an altar unto God, and he names that altar El Elohi Israel, which means God, the God of Israel, or as some commentators would put it, mighty is the God of Israel. And Jacob was convinced that it was not his own scheming that saved him. He gave credit to God, and he recognized that God was his provision the whole way through. So this begs the question, how do we find God's provision in our life? Especially in those times when we feel the need for something big coming and we don't know if we can trust God with it. Well, we start by doing exactly what Jacob did. Practice thanksgiving every step of the way. Jacob took time to pray a prayer before seeing Esau and said, Lord, thank you for what you have done. I'm asking you to provide for me still, but thank you for what you have done. So today, right, no matter where we are, because it's not always abundantly clear that it seems like the Lord really is providing for us. Completely fair. Things are so tight for so many of us. But I encourage you, this week, practice thanksgiving. Because so often it is the conduit for Lord's provision in our life. And so even right now, take 30 seconds and pause this video to pray a prayer of thanksgiving. Lord, thank you for everything that you have given to me. I know that I am not always the best at recognizing it, but Lord, right now I stop and I lift up my thanks. Pray those prayers. Pray that prayer. And trust in the Lord, for he will provide.